Well, good morning and welcome to the Underhood Show. My name is Josh Profit. I'm the service director here at Hambelton Ford, and alongside me today, I have a special guest, Ryan Smith with Kansas BG. Good morning.
Good morning, Josh. Thanks for having me on.
How are things going for you this morning?
Things are going good. It's a beautiful Saturday morning, and
It
it's
is.
not 105 yet. So
yet,
yeah,
we will get there. Yeah, the heat is definitely a hot topic this this last couple of weeks, and looking into the future for sure. So, but this is a call-in show, 316-462-3673. That's the number to jump on the air here with us. And if you want to talk about anything automotive, you got check engine light or not quite sure how something works, or new vehicle products, want to talk about racing from that side of things, you want to talk about take advantage of the special guest we have here today with, like I said, Ryan Smith with Kansas BG. Want to talk about BG products, or got questions on particular service or why you would do them, definitely take advantage of the situation at hand here. So 316-462-3673. That's the number to jump on the air here with us. And for each and every caller that calls into the show, we give away a package. We'll mail it out to you, but it consists of an oil change and tire rotation. We use Motorcraft oil and filter products here at Hambelton Ford. While we're performing that works package, we're also going to complete a multi-point inspection on your vehicle, checking over the brakes, tires, steering, suspension, all the safety-related components on your vehicle, just making sure that it's geared up and ready to go for that next 5,000 miles of driving. You'll also receive yourself $10 to Mel's Diner, so you can get yourself something to eat and drink while you're here with us at the Big Corner. Complete nitrogen for your tires, so you get all the great benefits that nitrogen has to offer. And then BG products package, which is going to consist of a can of MOA, or motor oil additive, for your engine oil, and then a can of CF5 for your fuel system. So again, just getting that vehicle geared up and ready to go for that next 5,000 miles of driving. So with that being said, good morning.
Good morning.
So let's kind of dive right in while we're waiting on the callers to call in here at that 316-462-3673 number. And we rattle off the BG products package, and I say, okay, well, it consists of a can of MOA or, CF5 for the fuel system. Explain to the viewers or listeners what exactly those two products are and what they do.
Absolutely. So the first product in that package, that MOA, motor oil additive, that we're talking about, is basically like a multivitamin for your engine oil change. So you figure, every quart bottle of oil has upwards of 15% additive structure. So what MOA is it's that additive structure, very, very concentrated in that can. It's going to enable your oil to last longer and do what it's supposed to do better. So.
I get a lot of questions about different oils, because there's a lot of options to consumers out there on the market. You go to the automotive shelves, or that aisle in Walmart, or something like that, and I mean, it's crazy how much different stuff there is on those aisles.
Right.
And so explain to the viewers, the differences kind of between those products, because it's really not the oil itself that makes the difference, right?
Correct. That is correct. There are so many different oils. You're going to see lots of colors, brands. You're going to see a lot of marketing out there on the shelves.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's a full synthetic oil, you figure it's a man-made oil. The molecules are pretty straight in line. That oil will last until it doesn't anymore, and then when it falls off pretty strong and doesn't protect the engine anymore. So the American Petroleum Institute actually puts additives into the engine oil to help that oil last longer. And so when you're looking at different brands, it's all different additive structures that they've created. So
you bring up a great point on full synthetics, and that's something I get asked a bunch about is, full synthetics. Well, if I have full synthetic, I can change my intervals, right? Well, that is I'm a huge advocate of full synthetic, and the reason to use it, I think there's an application for it, in a lot of situations, but by no means your oil.
Yeah. So full synthetic, that's a hot topic at BG. Quite personally, my Ford F-150, I do believe it calls for a syn blend, but
Mhm.
I use full synthetic in mine, because not only does the oil protect for longer, but then I can change my oil at that 5,000 mile interval, and the oil is still fairly good.
Fresh,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Yeah. So whenever I use synthetic blend, I notice it would get pretty dirty pretty fast. So
And it's one of those things too. I take calls or have people asked, hey, I'm starting to use a little oil and I switch to synthetic, or
yes,
they
yes.
it's kind of like the at my next fill up, I'm going to dump some premium gas in it
Right.
and help it out. And that's just not really that's not what that is designed for. That's not what it's used for.
Correct.
And in no way are you helping the situation
No.
by switching to those, but it's just a common thing that you hear in the industry of people doing that for sure.
Yes, and especially with Fords nowadays, they're all going to gasoline direct injection, and even turbocharging and twin turbocharging in some instances in the F-150s and Broncos and stuff. Um, and premium gas is good. I mean, it's got a higher octane, but if your car's tuned for 87, you're not getting any more additives in that top tier fuel. It's whether you get 87, 89, or 93 octane, it's all got the same detergency to it. And I had a gentleman at an independent shop talk to me one time about that, and he actually used to work in the gas industry, and he told me that they drop the additives separate from when they drop the fuel. So when you see that fuel tanker filling up the gas station, he's not the additive man. That,
Yeah,
that guy comes
that
on
guy comes
tomorrow,
later. Yeah.
and so yeah, I personally just run 87 in my truck, and then my wife's car takes premium. So
A little higher octane in that vehicle.
that's right.
And if your vehicle's designed one thing and you run it different, there's a lot of adverse effects to that. Now,
Yes.
it may be okay short term or in an emergency, but long term, you're doing damage. Like the octane level that is going into that engine and how the timing is set up through the computerized ignition system
Yes.
of when it's going to ignite that fuel is going to make all the difference in how much of that fuel gets burnt. And then the soot and deposits that get left behind are
Right.
going to be an adverse effect of what's going to happen there. So,
Absolutely. It
but
could it could make your engine knock. It could make it ping. It won't be running right in some instances. If you put the wrong type of gas in your car, it could even cause a check engine light to pop up too. So
very cool. Very cool. Well, hey, 316-462-3673. That's the number to hit us up here. If you got anything automotive related you want to talk about, like I said, new products, you want to talk about the vast line of BG preventative maintenance services that we have right inside here at Hambelton Ford, or hit us up on the chat. Let's hear from you. Let's talk about what you want to talk about. So already got a comment on here with a hand wave from Tia. So hello, good morning, Tia. Thanks for the chat, and I got another one on here. Good morning from Redneck Guy here. So yep, Robert Kinney's one of the salesmen here this morning and listening in as well. So when we give away this package to each and every caller that calls into the show, and we say we put a value on it of about $130.
yeah.
For me, it is so hard to value that thing. And the reason for that is there's a cost for the oil change. There's the expense of parts and labor. I've got all that. Okay, the nitrogen, we give the $10 to Mel's Diner.
Right.
And your guys's additive package that we put in for the MOA and CF5. But in addition to that, the multi-point inspection.
Right.
And valuing that multi-point inspection. And I can think of on a daily basis, you can go walk through the shop and look at repairs being made or things that are being done to vehicles that, man, if that would have been inspected at an earlier stage,
Yes.
and looked at, the dollar value that it would have saved the customer from having to have an expensive repair or make things worse by not tending to it sooner.
Yes.
it's huge. It really is huge. And that's where, I almost value that multi-point inspection to what BG brings to the table with maintenance.
Right.
Because, pretty much every consumer knows, hey, I got to change my oil.
Yes. Yep.
But then when you get past that, it's really every vehicle's different. Everybody's driving habits are different. Everybody's the conditions that they drive these vehicles in are different. The use, what they use the vehicle for, is so much different.
Right.
And so one of the things that I wanted to talk about today was just the vast different services that you guys have to offer, but then why the multi-point inspection is so important to know what to do and when.
Yes, absolutely. That's something that I preach all the time, everywhere I go. A multi-point inspection that is multifaceted, that is followed to a T every single time, is going to ensure that your car is running in tip-top shape. So here at Hambelton, I got to hand it to you, Josh. Y'all do an excellent job with your multi-point inspections. Just checking out, making sure what the car needs, seeing what's in the green, what's in the yellow, and what's in the red. What needs to be fixed immediately, what can wait till maybe next time, and then what you're really good on. And so it's really a vehicle bill of health at the end of the day. And I think the customer deserves to know exactly what's happening with their vehicle. They spend their hard-earned dollars to keep it running. A complimentary multi-point inspection has extreme value built into it. And so your point with the preventative maintenance services that you can offer while going and combing through that multi-point inspection could be a vast array of things. It could be, hey, we recommend doing an engine performance restoration service with your oil change. If you drive a turbocharged gasoline direct injected car that's got low tension piston rings in it, you want to keep those piston rings clean and clear of carbon. That's the service you can get done here at Hambelton. Given that it is a gasoline direct injected vehicle, that fuel injector is spraying that fuel directly on top of the piston.
Yeah.
And so these days, the fuel, it's completely missing the intake valve, and we have no more fuel detergency to wash over that carbon. So that is a perfect opportunity to offer the guest a service that'll save them miles per gallon, and it'll also keep their car healthy and breathing right.
So I'll kind of branch off of that just for a second there, because you said something that I think in this day and age is a keen point, right?
Yes.
But I do want to come back to this multi-point inspection and kind of everything that we check over and look over. But you said something about we'll save a customer miles per gallon.
Correct.
So how much of an uptick are you guys noticing on the BG side of things on consumers really concerned or focused on the fuel efficiency based on the prices that you're seeing at the pumps now?
That's a great comment you have there. So miles per gallon, obviously it's on the forefront of everybody's mind. The price at the pump keeps going up every day. I think it's at $4.15 a gallon right now and that's just 87 octane.
Yeah.
So folks are really feeling the pain at the pump now and for the next, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years. So miles per gallon is, like I said, it's on the forefront of everybody's mind. We are trying to do as much as we can at BG to extend that mile per gallon. And we do a lot of services at BG where we'll bring a car in that's suffering for miles per gallon. We'll run it on the dynameter. We'll check out the specs. We'll perform some of these maintenance services on them, and then we'll measure and show empirical data on how we've advanced that. So
yeah, I've been down to the lab on multiple occasions, and I mean every time I go down there, there's 2 or 3 new machines on, trying to make things better. But the amount of research and development that you guys put into your products to know that it's doing what you're advertising, or not only that, now you're taking this product that's already good, and we're still focused on it. We're still driven on trying to make it better,
absolutely.
From that side. And so, when you guys are doing a fuel flow test, I mean, it's very scientific. It's not just, hey, we dumped this in here, ran the car, we went and ran it again. And, you're out in the elements and environments, and there's so many attributes or things that could affect it or weigh the scale one way or another. No, this is in a lab. Like we're metering the flow. We're looking at the spray, the injectors, like doing all that, and the amount of research and development that goes into those products to ensure that they're top notch is what I like most about what you guys bring to the table, for sure.
Absolutely. The research and development, that R&D, that is the name of the game. And, you know, when we spend millions of dollars on R&D every year just to make sure that our products are doing what we say they do, and to make sure that they are taking the best care of that car, because engine technology is advancing every single day, and gasoline tends to stay the same. So we have to do something a little bit more. Earlier I made a comment about, you know, like a multivitamin for your engine oil or a multivitamin for your fuel system. The food that we eat every day, I try to eat a little bit of dark greens. You know, I try to eat my leafy green vegetables, but at the end of the day, my diet is not enough, so I have to take a men's one a day. So the same thing for your fuel system or for your oil system. You know, oil and fuel are kind of behind the times, so we do have to boost those.
Well, and you know, we can talk about that even just for a second too, is that those people are in manufacturing just like anybody else. And so their eye on the cost per unit is the forefront of the mind. You know, it's not engine longevity. It's not what is the best product I could put out there. So they have to be comparative and competitive, but also it comes down to unit per cost, you know, at the end of the day, and how much money they can make at the end of it. And so it is a matter of a longevity thing. And I think these vehicles are so everybody has a great powertrain out there. You know, the engine and transmission on just about every manufacturer of vehicle is very durable, very reliable, pretty fuel efficient. It's just all on the matter of maintenance. And these things will go as many miles as you want them to go if you maintain them. And, you know, pairing with you guys is a no-brainer if you're wanting to get the mileage out of a vehicle.
Absolutely. And to touch on what you were talking about with testing in the laboratory, so BG Products is actually accredited for laboratory testing. We have all of our ISO certifications. And so the scientists in our lab are making sure that we can touch every single type of engine and transmission out there, whether it be a Ford or a Dodge or a Chevy or a Honda or BMW, you name it. We're making sure that we have specific applications for each vehicle. I had a buddy of mine talk to me one time, and he said, Ryan, I know you're a Ford guy. I know you bleed Ford blue, but I'm a diehard Chevy guy. And I got to say, I had a Ford one time and it quit out on me. And I said, well, how many miles did you get it at? He said, well, I got it used at about, 150,000 miles. And so I asked him, did you have any paperwork of maintenance that had been done to it prior? And he said, well, no, I couldn't find any of that record. So I do believe, and to touch on what you said, I do believe that any car that you drive, if you maintain it well enough, it'll last. It'll last you. So,
and you know what you guys bring to the table on the maintenance side of that things is even if you get a hold of a car that has 75, 80, 90,000 miles on it. I mean, there are services that you can do to it to kind of bring it back, restore it back to new or back to life. And that's where when you get into like the GDI services and things like that, you know, it may take a couple of different services to be able to make that happen, but it is possible.
Bringing the car back up to manufacturer specs, because as time marches on, the miles per gallon does start to dip one by one. And so what at BG, what we always talk about is we talk about bringing that car back up to manufacturer specs. So restoring the horsepower, restoring the fuel economy, and sometimes getting you a little bit better fuel economy than you would have gotten right off the line. So yeah, that's the name of the game.
So what is how long have you been with BG?
So I've been with BG Products for 7 years. I used to work at the distributor level down in Texas, and I just recently moved up to Wichita, and I've been working with Kansas BG for about 3 months now. And so far, I love it up here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were talking about that a little bit earlier. You've had a lot of change in the recent months
Yes.
here,
Uh-huh.
and between the move and buying a house and getting married, and it
Yes.
seems like you've made all of life's choices and decisions
Uh-huh.
here in about 3 months, as to where most people it would have taken several years to make that happen. So,
Yes.
congratulate you, I guess, on all of that stuff. But
Thank you.
in the time of being with BG, what's the one product that you feel has maybe evolved or changed, the most over that duration?
Right.
I got that question, and then I got one other one for you. So,
Okay. So the product that has changed the most, I have to say, is probably transmission.
really,
Yeah, so
okay.
transmission fluid and transmission additives, because the OEMs, they have been um, trying to get as much fuel economy out of these units
Mhm.
as they can, and the government mandates that you meet a certain miles per gallon average over all the cars that you produce. So they've added uh, gears on top of gears on top of gears in these transmissions. We went from a 4-speed, where the fourth gear was really overdrive,
Yeah,
to a 5, 6, all the way up to a 10
10
speed
speed
now.
now. Yeah.
And there's talks about a 12-speed transmission. I don't know anything about that yet, but right now a 10-speed transmission. And so you've got more gears packed into the same amount of space, and they've thinned out the fluid. So
Mhm.
we're right now for Ford, we're at a Mercon ultra low viscosity, and a lot of folks um, haven't seen the difference between a ULV and just a regular LV. So at BG, our transmission fluid and additives, and like the additive structure in the transmission flush that you sell here at Hambelton, it has undergone so much testing and chemistry change just to keep up with the car's demands. So that is one thing that has changed a lot.
Let's talk about while we're on that subject of the transmission fluids and just transmission services in general, is the primary function of any fluid. We're talking specifically about transmission fluid now, but really any fluid, the primary function of that is to dissipate heat, to
Right.
get the heat out of those components and cool them.
Yes.
Lubrication, everybody thinks of fluid, they think of lubrication,
Right.
and that isn't a function of it, but the primary function of it is to get rid of the heat
Right.
out
Right.
of those components. And so now when you talk about transmissions and you talk about okay, we went from a 3-speed to a 4-speed with an overdrive to
Right.
all the way up to 10-speed, what everybody needs to understand is where the heat comes from in transmissions is 100%, or a large portion of it, some of it's friction, but a large portion of it is shifting.
Yes.
Every time that transmission shifts, it's producing heat,
Right.
quite a bit of heat, because you think about it, you're going literally from one speed to another speed, and the friction of those clutches to be able to make that happen smoothly can be pretty substantial. And so
Right.
every time that thing's shifting, it's producing heat. And then when that fluid heats up, the lubrication aspects and factors of it, every time it goes through a heat cycle, you're diminishing that
Yes.
some. And so you think in a drive cycle of how somebody's using the vehicle, obviously somebody that's driving around in town,
Right.
from that's to say you're delivering mail or whatever, and you got
Yes.
a lot of little stops here and there, and you're doing a lot of shifting, versus somebody out on the highway that's going to Pratt every day.
Yeah.
Those two vehicles are going to be different. They're going to have
Right.
different needs. They're going to be maintained differently from that side of things.
Right.
Or you think of somebody that's towing something.
Yes.
A shift in that vehicle is going to be produce so much more heat and
Right.
degrade that fluid so much faster.
Yes.
From that side. So that's where, going back to that multi-point inspection and
Yes.
what the
Yes.
value of that thing is so important.
Right. And with that multi-point inspection, we're looking at things like transmission fluid. We're looking
Mhm.
at your brake fluid. We're looking at your axles and your seals and your tires, tread depth, and all that. We're checking for tire wear and cupping and all that. So all the different things that pertain to the vehicle's health, and transmission is a big one of them. Transmission, something that a lot of us take for granted every day. Back in the day, it was considered to be a luxury, right?
Yeah.
Is everyone had manual transmissions, and if you got one with an auto, that's a luxury car, right? So it's something that we take for granted, that it shifts perfectly every single time. And when you're talking about clutch wear, that's a huge problem with transmission, because um, you figure, like you were saying, an oil has three main properties. It's meant to lubricate,
Yep.
obviously, but it's also meant to cool and to keep clean. So there's also a certain level of detergency in transmission fluid to keep the vital components in that transmission clean. And as time marches on, as you drive that vehicle, whether you're driving a trailer or you're driving Miss Daisy, it will wear down at some point.
Yeah. So, going back to, I guess, the multi-point side of things, and now we've talked about different driving conditions that people drive in, how they drive from that side of it. I want to talk a little bit about because when we're looking at services, time, mileage is a factor,
Yes.
conditions are a factor, but then also duration, how long
Yes.
that fluid's been in there.
Correct.
And so explain kind of what the reasoning is for time, because everybody thinks, well, that vehicle has 5,000 miles on it.
Yes.
Everything's got to be pretty well new. Well, it's a 2016 vehicle. It's been
Right.
sitting for, why are we concerned about that? What's the reasoning for that?
So dealerships all over the world, and much like yours, they present that multi-point inspection, and they review the time, the mileage, and the history of the vehicle. So all three of those things, time, mileage, and history, can affect that. And like you said, even if it did have pretty low miles, but that oil had been in there for quite some time, it starts to oxidize. And oxidation is the aging, due to oxygen, to put it in simple terms. And that fluid, even though it may still be ruby red in an older car, it does need to be changed out by time. Mileage is a good rule of thumb to go off of at BG. Like our lifetime protection plan that we offer here, it has everything to do with mileage. And so I do believe that if you, what were you going to say
No,
something?
no,
Oh, I do believe that as far as mileage goes with transmission services, if you're servicing that unit every 30,000 miles, you're covered under the lifetime protection plan. So LPP is something that we preach at BG. It's a very valuable program, and it's incorporated with that multi-point inspection. So,
well, Ryan, we're going to continue talking about this for sure, but
yeah,
call in 316-462-3673. That's the number to jump on the air here with us, and let's ask, get a BG question or a service question related. Who knows? Maybe in addition to the package, you may win something additionally. Let's get a call in here. So 316-462-3673. That's the number to jump on the air here with us, and let's talk about anything automotive from that side of things. So, we talked about the multi-point inspection and transmission fluid, and you're saying that was one of the things that you think has evolved or changed the most in your duration with BG.
right.
So one of the next question I have for you, and this is maybe unfair to put you on the spot about this, but what do you feel, bang for the buck, is the most beneficial product that you guys have for a customer, and why, if you had to pick one out of your whole arsenal?
Yes.
Okay.
So the best service to get bang for your buck, I would have to say, would be the engine performance service. So BG EPR, engine performance restoration, BG MOA, the motor oil additive, and BG 44K fuel system cleaner.
which is one kit.
Yes.
With us,
1 3-part kit. It can be done with an oil change. I don't have the price in front of me, but I know that it's under,
$60. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a good bang for your buck, and you get a fuel detergency additive to keep your fuel injectors clean, like we're talking about GDIs. That it's more important than ever to keep those fuel injectors clean, just given that the injector pintle is facing the fire, it's facing the heat. And then motor oil additive is going to give you that lifetime protection on your engine, of up to $6,000 if you've got under 50,000 miles, and $3,000 if you've got up to 75. So getting grandfathered in that plan, and then also using the engine performance restoration, because EPR cleans everywhere where oil touches. And it's an oil-based dispersant cleaner. So it's heat activated. So when the technicians are running that out in the shop, it takes about 20 minutes to get that cleaner cycled through. So we can have you in and out of here on your service visit within the hour,
Yeah.
and offer you protection and also a great product for your car. So that's best bang for the buck. One of my favorite products. It gets ran in the truck every oil change. So.
Oh, really? Every time?
Every single time.
Very good.
Yes.
So I've kind of put you on the spot and
Yep.
asked you those two questions from your side of it. Now, so from my side of it, as far as what product I feel has evolved or changed the most, I've been using BG products. I don't know. I think I started in '96.
Yeah.
And I've been using BG products with you guys ever since then. But I would say the 44K or the Platinum 44K is
Yes.
what I've seen, which is now the Platinum 44K. I believe I've seen that probably evolve or change. And my reasoning behind that is maybe configuration of the can, or the design on the can is always changing.
Yes.
And I know you guys are altering that or modifying that. And the main reason I say that is because of the fuel systems and
Yes.
knowing the advancements of fuel systems and where we went from way back then to where we're at now.
Yep.
I mean, these trucks literally on them have vehicle or fuel. The fuel systems have high pressure direct injected
Correct.
injectors, but then they
Yes.
also have a set of just in multi port fuel injection as
Correct.
well.
Yes.
And so we're talking each vehicle having 2 injectors per cylinders with different designs, with different jobs, with that, and to be able to get one chemical in there to have advantages for both systems. From a research and design side of it's got to be it's got to be frustrating, but I would say that would be in my duration the chemical that I've seen change the most or evolve the most from that side. Now to go back on the other side of that question is, as far as one independent service that I believe has the most bang for the buck or value to a customer, and it's really hard to put just one in there because it's based on what that customer's needs are. But I'm right there with you with the GDI service. So
Absolutely.
the can of compression restoration, the MOA, and then the fuel additive after the service as well. And I think it was explained best. And it was probably even you, but it's like a shampoo and a conditioner.
Yes,
from
absolutely.
that side of things is that you got to clean it, then you got to protect it.
Correct.
From the beginning to the end. And I guess I probably say that the most just because I've seen those services done, and I've seen when you put the compression restoration in there and when you pull the drain plug for the oil, what comes out.
Right.
And that is just, it's kind of awe-striking almost in some aspects for sure. So I definitely think the bang for the buck is the GDI service. So got a couple of comments here on the chat. Says Jason Cox says, morning gents, gentlemen, I bought my truck in for service last Saturday. Exceptional service. This is why I make the extra drive from Augusta to you guys. So Jason, thank you for the business. Thank you for the comment. Definitely do try to make things happen in a good customer experience for everybody. This I don't even want to really attribute it to this time of year, but it always does seem like this time of year, business explodes. We get very, very busy. The heat always makes a huge difference
Yes.
between people looking to travel and go on trips and vacations, and needing their vehicle serviced for those things, but then also just internally,
Right.
it's summer, our employees have kids and they're on vacation or need to take vacation too, and seems like and I know it's probably just uh, an awareness thing, just because the need for staffing is so much better or so much more in these times of years, but seems like Ford always picks up a bunch of different training
Yes.
this time of year, and I always have people wanting to, people going out to training. And so leads me into my next thing is
Yeah.
training with you guys.
Right.
So explain how you make sure that the vast networks, because we're not the only shop, obviously, that uses BG products. You guys are very, very prevalent here in this area,
Yes.
as well. But how you keep all those guys trained?
Absolutely.
What's available to them to be able that they're doing the right service, because it's not always about having the right chemical.
Right.
You have to administer it the right way in order
Correct.
for it to do what it needs to do. So
Yes, absolutely. So training from BG products, let's just go with a dealership standpoint. So it starts at the front with the advisors. Obviously, the advisors, they're great at what they do. They're experts. They've been doing it, for years and years. But on the BG side of things, just training on chemistry, really, really what the service does, what it entails for the customer. Um, Preaching multi-point inspection, time, mileage, and history recommendations, but also a huge part and a huge benefit in the training is back in the shop with the technicians, making sure that that they know how to hook up to that 10-speed transmission with that BG Performance Transmission Exchange machine. Hookup is everything, because some vehicles, they have thermostats, that'll close off flow to the fluid, and sometimes that's a headache for some. And at BG, we train all of our technicians everywhere how to hook up to that transmission the best. So we focus a lot on training with the advisors and with the technicians as well. So yeah, training is everything. It's that's probably 70% of what I do on a daily basis
really,
is training. Yeah, and every time I go into my dealers and my independent shops, I'm always asking, when can we do our next training? And
Yep.
and sometimes it's review, but you never know if you get a new technician in, or someone who's working their way, from the lube rack to main shop, and they want to learn more. They're trying to get their certifications from Ford, and so you're sending them off to school. They're bettering themselves. They're further in their career. Training is everything in so many forms and shapes and sizes. So
yeah, that is something that we really take a lot of pride in, and do absolutely as much as we can. I want those guys as efficient as they can be,
yes,
and you got to know what you're doing, what you're working on, how to get it done, and to be able to have that training available to them only helps them
yes,
from that side of it, for sure. So, well, hey, 316-462-3673, that's a number to jump on the air here with us and talk about anything automotive. Phones are a little quiet. Everybody must be in bed sleeping.
in.
So that's okay. That's okay. I don't blame them. I'm not mad at them. It's been very, very hot here the last week, and I don't know, looking at the forecast coming up, I'm not sure that there's a week or two, I guess, it's that there's a whole lot of relief in sight. So the next thing was on my list that I wanted to talk about was AC, air
Yes.
conditioning. This time of year, we do get inundated with a lot of AC stuff, and it's one thing to have a customer come in and things. The refrigerant level has kind of diminished just a little bit in the system, and it's just not quite cooling like it could
Yes.
from that side, versus somebody showing up and hey, it's broke.
Yeah.
I got nothing.
Uh-huh.
My AC is 2 windows down and 40 mile an hour. And if in some cases can feel like a blast furnace in that. But what are
Yes.
some of the products that BG has to offer to maintain an AC system?
Absolutely. So here in the shop, the technicians, they're using BG's AC oil, whether that be a 134 refrigerant or a 1234 YF refrigerant in some
Mhm.
of these newer vehicles. But getting that oil changed out is very, very imperative. I mean, every air conditioning system, whether you think it's in a car or you take one from your home, they all run oil. And like we're talking about engine oils and transmission oils, AC oil, it's a little bit different, but it still has lubricity. It still keeps the components cool and keeps them clean. So that's one of those things that we have to do, and we have the technology here at Mel Hambelton to get that AC exchanged at the right rate. And the technicians do a great job with AC services this time of year. There's also a service that we can offer to clean the evaporator core. So the product is called FrigiClean and FrigiFresh, and what it does is it cleans, like I said, that is AC evaporator core. It cleans all the mold, the mildew, any nicotine oils if you smoke or something like that. It helps with allergies. It helps to disinfect your air conditioning system. Every is it 15,000 miles we recommend doing a
Mhm.
cabin air filter. So
Yeah.
that cabin air filter is filtering the air that we breathe in the car. And so there's been studies that have been done, and they show that folks can even get sick from their air conditioning system if you don't keep it clean, keep that cabin air filter changed. And the product FrigiFresh is administered to the cabin filter and also to the vents, and it disinfects, and it's an EPA registered viricide. So if we're trying not to catch COVID this time of year, or we don't want to get sick before our summer trip, it would be who of the customer to get that AC system serviced.
And so, Ryan, this was, gosh, I'm going to say it's probably been 3 years at this point, but it was just before the beginning of summer.
Yeah.
There's 15 service advisors here, service consultants
Right.
at the dealership, and we went through and we did an AC vent service on every one of those advisors' vehicles, and so
Yes.
we had vehicles that literally ranged from, I think the lowest mile one was maybe 15,000 miles, or maybe it was 10.
Right.
From that side, but about 10 to 15,000 miles, all the way up to probably just about 200,000 miles.
Yes.
And in that mix, some smokers, some non-smokers. Like, it was really a good mix of different vehicles.
Yeah.
But we we administered this service, and so it starts out basically you inject a snow white foam
Correct.
into the heating and ventilation case.
Yeah.
And then it basically goes against the evaporator, and then runs down the evaporator and pulls whatever material or debris or grime or
Yes.
oils or bacteria or mold, whatever may be on that evaporator, pulls it down and then comes out the drain
Right.
of the case. So, like, when you park your car in a parking stall or on your drive, and your AC's on, you have condensation or water running out of it.
Correct.
That's the same principle. Only it's this snow white foam from that side. So
Right.
what we did is perform that service, but we collected what came out of the evaporator. And it was, every one of them was in a clear dish,
Yeah.
from that side of it. And so we gave them their
Samples.
samples,
That's cool.
and it was just absolutely amazing. Some of the stuff, even the vehicle that had 10,000 miles on it
Mhm.
or 12,000 miles on it, what that looked like
Right.
afterwards. That gentleman was a smoker, and so I think that aided to the appearance of what it was. But I think everybody, it was an eye opener,
Yes.
for sure, from that side of, hey, you're breathing this,
Right.
or the benefits of, from the health side of it, or just the smell, the odor side of it in the vehicle, but then also the cooling aspect of
Correct.
cleaning that evaporator and getting that junk and debris off there, not to plug it up. You're going to
Yes.
get that much air off the blower.
Yep.
Which is only going to help improve the cooling aspect of the vehicle for sure.
Very true.
Cabin air filters are one thing that I wish every manufacturer across the board would put a
Yes.
cabin air filter in a vehicle, and I think we are getting there. You're seeing a lot more and more vehicles have them, but it's a great thing. But with that, just like everything else, there's service intervals that need to go with it.
Correct.
The other day, I've changed one out, and I think it was probably the worst one that I'd ever seen as far as how plugged up it was.
Yeah.
But there was very minimal airflow coming out of the vehicle, and then we put a cabin air filter, and it made a huge difference. But previous to not having that cabin air filter, that would have been the evaporator.
Correct.
And that's a huge labor undertaking to replace some of these evaporators for sure.
It is. It is. I know a lot of times in the multi-point inspection, I've seen y'all bring up the cabin air filter to show to the customer, hey, this is what your cabin air filter element looks like, and this is the air that you're breathing. And so I think that's very, very imperative to show the guest, that this is what's in your car.
Mm-hmm.
And when you put that filter side by side next to a brand new, nice and clean filter, it really shows a difference.
So I got a comment on here. Says this service has helped my husband because he has asthma. We have ours done every 120 days. So very
Nice.
good. Yeah.
Thank you.
You get asthma's huge. Allergies are huge.
Right.
What amazes me is on the allergy side of things is I think it makes so much difference seasonally. Some people are affected in spring, some people are affected in summer, some people are affected in fall on the allergies and what those are.
Right.
But it is a good annual service for the AC vent portion of a vehicle to have that done for sure.
Right.
And then an AC system service for refrigerant levels and adding the oil, the BG oil that you guys use with the dye is huge.
Yes.
If a AC system is low on refrigerant, one, it's not going to cool effectively from that side of things, but also it's that oil is what, or excuse me, the refrigerant is what picks the oil up and moves it through the system, and so it's not able to do that effectively, and you're prematurely wearing parts that otherwise wouldn't be if it was at the right specification or right value for sure.
Correct.
Well, very, very, very cool. So, hey, let's get the phones ringing, 316-462-3673, or hit us up on the chat line here and talk about anything automotive, whatever that may be that you want to talk about. So, got a couple things going for the racing side of things. We're headed off on Wednesday to Topeka to the drag races up there. So we'll have that going on till Saturday. Got a couple of the other events here this next weekend as well for the MH Ford racing side of things. So we had our annual Harbor House ladies night here Thursday evening. So it's an event or a charity that we do for the Harbor House, and there was a lot going on around here. So
Wow.
it's something that we do. Again, annual. I think this was our 12th annual year of doing it, but it's a really good time. It's a huge event. Lisa does a phenomenal job with it, and it is a lot of work, a lot of planning. We finished up on Thursday, and I think probably Friday morning she was started in on planning for next year.
Yeah.
So it's an all year long deal, but it went very well. Let's see. Looks like we got another comment here, and it says, "Do you have the same oil performance kit for diesels?"
That's a great question.
That, we didn't talk about at all. So I'm assuming he's talking in regards to the compression restoration kit or the GDI service.
Correct.
So if you want to kind of answer that, that'd be great.
Absolutely. So, yeah, BG, we make an array of products for whether they're gasoline or diesel hybrids, that sort of nature. So, talking about diesels, engine performance restoration kit for diesels looks a little bit different than the gasoline kit does. So, obviously, engine performance restoration, it's that good product. It's going to clean everywhere where oil touches. It's going to keep those piston rings clean and clear. But it comes with a quart bottle of diesel oil conditioner, DOC for short. And it provides an excellent soot protection and wear protection in the inside of the engine. It gives you an excellent film strength for metal on metal wear, anti metal on metal wear, and then it also comes with a BG 245 diesel fuel system cleaner that is specially formulated for high pressure common rail diesel systems. And the pressure on diesels, we're talking about pressure in the GDI vehicles, the pressure on diesels goes up and up and up, and it's through the roof. They're cranking out high horsepower out of these diesels, and they're demanding more. Engines are demanding more, so it is important to keep that oil clean in the diesel. It's do you drive a gas or a diesel?
So gas,
You
but
drive gas?
have drove many diesels
Right.
previously, or but currently in a gas for sure. So
Okay. So I've talked to a lot of technicians that drive diesels or at least see diesels when they do come in, and they always say the second I change the oil in that diesel, if I pull the dipstick,
it's black.
it's already black.
Yeah.
So I got curious one day and I asked a technician, why does it immediately discolor the oil? And he said it was soot in the crankcase that is left over from an oil change. So a traditional oil change, it's a drain and fill, and you get 98% of the oil out of the car. It's just, by design. When you do a diesel performance oil change, what it does is it uses that heat activated dispersant to grab on and dissipate all of that carbon inside of the engine and all that paraffin and wash it out with the old oil. So um, I like to say a heat activated dispersant is imperative in a diesel, especially if you plan on keeping it for 200,000-300,000 miles. And if you work with the thing, if you tow a trailer, a horse trailer, or a boat, or towing race cars up to Salina,
Yep.
it's imperative to get that diesel engine serviced like that.
I think going back to that same analogy of the shampoo and conditioner, it's
Yes.
just changing your oil is like taking a shower and not using shampoo.
Correct. Right.
And then you just after that's done, you still feel like it's not clean.
Yes.
And then so you use a shampoo and it's so much better.
Right.
Right. From that side. And you're exactly right on the diesel side of things, and changing the oil, you pull the dipstick out and it's like, wow, this is dark and dirty. Well,
Right.
It's, using that product makes a huge difference in the longevity of how clean that oil is, for sure. So, and then the other thing from the diesel side of things is fuel economy on diesels, just like on gas. Diesel products are so much. Diesel fuel is high as well, just like gas. I don't know is that because historically it's maybe been a little higher or as much, but yeah, it's one of those things that right now everybody's fighting for fuel economy no matter what it is.
Yes, absolutely. And a lot of the additives that they put in diesel fuel right there at the pump are hard to get these days. So diesel is in high demand. The price of diesel keeps going up. And it's imperative to make sure that you have a high performance diesel fuel system cleaner in your tank to improve fuel injector lubricity, to prolong the life of those injectors, and then also cetane improvement and detergency. So,
yeah, very, very much so. I got another question here on the chat, and it says, do you guys ever change compressors on old cars, 1971 Fords, to the new compressors, to the maybe a certain type of compressor, and do they cool better? So yes, I'm assuming what you're asking is, Dan, on a retrofit. So going from like a 134A or to a 134A from an R12 system, that is something that something that we perform or can do for sure. R12 is a system that's really gone away. What you typically seen on a lot of those older vehicles when you retrofitted from an R12 system to a 134A system, that it's R12 cooled better from that side of things to a 134A. But if it's done right, you can get them very close. You can get them very similar to go to that 134A system. And there is science behind it. There is like you can't just guess at that for sure. The amount of refrigerant that an R12 system took, I mean, back in the years ago, you could easily have 3, 4, 5 pounds in a system of refrigerant, and then you go into a 134A system and they just want 1 or 2 pounds, and then now we're to the 1, 2, 3, 4 YF system, and
Yes.
you're talking not even a pound of
Right.
refrigerant from that side of things. So but yeah, that is something that we do, Dan, and that we could help you with for sure as well. So get that air cooling in that 1971. So I wonder what is the Ford that's a 1971? What's the model of it? So we'll have to see if he can send in and see what that is that he's working on. So well, Ryan, I appreciate you taking the time and coming in and hanging out with me for the hour. We've went over or talked about he put up there, it's an old LTD.
Nice.
So a 1984 LTD. That is right, Dan. I think I've helped you with that vehicle before. So if you're having an issue with the AC system on it, or we need to look at it, give me a shout, let me know, and I'll be more than happy to help you out with that for sure. This time of year, it's it's no fun to be driving out there with no AC. So got another comment here as well. It says, my 90s truck air blows cold after a BG service. Well, there you go. Just like that. Very good. Very good. So, and that come from Yoda.
Yoda.
So,
I assume that's a Toyota.
Yo, Toyota.
So yeah, probably drives an old Toyota.
Well, very good. One of the things I was going to ask you before we get off the air here is, if somebody's traveling or maybe not in the area, how do they find out where to get BG? How do you know where to get BG products if Mel Hambelton Ford's not an option? I want to be clear on that first.
Yeah.
If Mel Hambelton Ford's not an option, how do I get BG?
Absolutely. So we've got a lot of customers here at Mel Hambelton that are customers for life, and they love us here. But if you're on vacation, if you're on the road, you're a couple states over, all you have to do is go on to bgfindashop.com and type in your zip code, and it'll show you any BG shops within your area and the services that you can expect.
Very good. Very good. Well, again, Ryan, I wanted to thank you very much for coming in and hanging out with me for the hour. It's been a lot of fun.
Yes,
phones were kind of quiet, but we got quite a few people on the chat side of things. So from that side, let's go through and thank our sponsors of the show, which is Big Corner Creative, or BCC, for all your marketing and advertising needs. They do everything down there: window tints, race car wraps, vehicle wraps, web designs, all sorts of marketing and advertising available through those guys. BG Products, all the great preventative maintenance that we have right inside here at Mel Hambelton Ford for your vehicle. Keep it going as many miles as you want it to go. And then Go To Rent. So if you're looking for a 12 or 15 passenger van, you need a larger vehicle for summer vacation, get with Stan right here inside of Mel Hambelton Ford. So everybody have a safe and good rest of your weekend, and stay cool.